Greetings troopers, Fayod here, and in this vid I will be giving you my first impressions or Starship Troopers Extermination. Pardon me if I sound a bit off, I've been streaming for 5 hours and it was a journey. So, what is Starship Troopers Extermination? It's a co-op horde shooter that can have up to 16 players cooperate and coordinate in order to complete specific objectives and ultimately succeed at stemming the tide of the arachnid assault, either stealing resources from the planet or surviving in a hostile environment. There is not a ton of variety in the objectives, but the game is still in early access. Before anything else, I'm gonna touch upon the early access situation. If you expect to come into this game and find zero junk, zero bugs, zero issues, and the most stellar production ever, you're gonna be sorely disappointed. This is a budget title. The peeps who made this asked only for 25 euros/dollars, and for that amount of money, I have to tell you, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. If you go out drinking one night and you have 3-4 drinks, you're gonna be paying more than 25 euros or dollars. Here we had a blast with the guys for 5 hours and we will be playing it more as it evolves and improves. It is a pretty straightforward game. It includes a lot of blasting things with, well, I wouldn't say huge guns, but effective feeling guns, and the basics are there. Gunplay feels okay, solid with most weapons, some of them are kinda iffy. The explosives feel great because they send pieces of the bugs flying all over the place, and if you are running this on a computer that is well maintained and doesn't initialize any other programs on the background, I think you're gonna have a pretty stable experience. The issue with these huge arena games is that they're very CPU intensive, so if you bog your CPU with a lot of tasks, you're gonna have a couple issues when it comes to performance. Of course, it's not overly optimized, and that's because it's in early access, but I managed to get around 80 to 90 frames on this while I was also running the streaming software and was capturing the footage. I'm using a 3070 Ti, but this will easily run on a 1060. It is very frugal with its rendering. One thing I don't understand is why they went for XS upscaling, that is Intel's model. It's by far the least effective at the moment, but still it was playable and in the higher tiers of frame rates. No problemos there. I was also hosting my games, had 4 or 5 other people join up on me, and still it ran smoothly. Quite stable, I have to say that, because we only experienced a couple of crashes in a 5-hour session in an early access game by a host, moi, who was also doing other stuff with the PC at the time because I was streaming. No disconnects, and the only time I actually had to manually quit the game was because I was stuck in a piece of geometry and I didn't know you can just redeploy at the spawn point, and I exited the game. You can avoid that because they give you the option, if you click escape, to redeploy at a certain spawn point that's also reserved for dead teammates who get revived. It has 3 classes, 1 nimble trooper, 1 heavy trooper, and 1 support trooper that's both a healer and a kind of technician. They will add more, I'm quite sure about that. You can utilize utility items and perks to modify your loadout and the guy the character plays, and each class can use 3 weapons on average at the moment because the rest are still in development, and the same goes for the perks as well. In the build section there is actually an in development tag on top of most of the stuff that will become unlockable in the future. So 25 euros for a game that promises to stay in early access for around a year. That's the official statement of the developers, meaning you will have full access to everything that's gonna come out moving forward, at least for a year whilst it's still in development, and then for all the time that will keep moving forward as an actual release. Not too shabby. We have to understand a couple things here. First and foremost, you have to like Starship Troopers to appreciate this. It's 100% the vibe of Starship Troopers. You kill bugs, you listen to soldiers hoorah each other, big scale. It's a sandy world where lots of blood and juices get spilled. The aesthetic is very akin to that of the movies, especially the first one. Now, to make the most of it, as you probably understand, you need to cap a company of friends that also want to play Starship Troopers. Because, let's be honest people, if you sit down to play this as your main game for any length of time, alone, you're doing something wrong with your time and, by extension, with your life. This is to be enjoyed with other people. And in case you wanted to ask me if there is a campaign or if there is some way to play with bots, no. It's 16 human beings in a lobby shooting bugs in the head. Or the nervous system, obviously, because that's how they die faster. Lore words, not mine. Are you gonna get your money's worth out of this? Considering it will be moving forward and who knows what they will implement into the game, I say that the investment is meager, it's 25 euros. And I swear to you, due to the simplicity of the objectives as well, if you get a couple of beers into your system, you're gonna have a blast. You don't really need to be all that focused, especially if you play on the lower settings. We played normal, veteran is also available, but in veteran we ran into the old rando situation where the four of us who could communicate tried to complete objectives, and little Timmy, aka Rambo Snipes XXZ666, was just running around holding his winner in his hand. I don't know what the fuck was happening. People didn't contribute, we died. RIP. If you can coordinate with other humans, this is gonna be nice. It's gonna be fun. Now, according to what kind of traction this vid and the following streams I do on this game get, I might end up covering it quite extensively for the rest of its life. Well, it's still very young, so lots more to cover. Drop a like to this vid, sub and hit the bell if you wanna follow more info on Starship Troopers Extermination. If you have any questions or want to find people to play with, or if you're worried if you'll be able to find people to play with, jump into our Discord, you can find it in the description, and there will be a channel waiting for you that's reserved for Starship Troopers, so you can communicate with other people, get into games, and have fun. Closing remarks, do you remember Redfall? That supposedly awesome vampire shooter that came out a few weeks back and still hasn't been patched, that turned out to be just a steaming pile of shit? Well, they asked full price for that, and we got our balls in a sack. This one asks for far less, promises much more to come, comes from a small studio, and is a better game overall. Support small developers. Until next time, be well, stay frosty, and always strive for perfection, peeps. Cheers!